Hey everybody, it's Aaron. Today we're going to be setting up Kimi K3 with using Zed, which is what I have on the screen here, using a OpenRouter API key. Before we get started, what you're actually looking at here is a prompt that I ran through both Kimi K3 and Fable 5 to catch just issues in this gluten or not application I maintain. Essentially, this thing's looking at the last commits, the most recent, like the code base overall, and like flag different bugs. And what I thought was super cool, obviously we're going to go through how to set this up in a second, is the 5 issues that this Kimi K3 caught in Zed actually were completely different than Fable. So I have in the gluten or not repo, and I'll link this link later, the total findings that came from both Fable and Kimi K3. But it only had one issue that overlapped. Kimi K3 caught 4 unique ones, Fable caught 4 unique ones, and I think it was a really powerful demonstration of why we should try and use different models to look at these types of things, because you're just going to get a different perspective. And I think that's and they have different strengths, the different models. So thought that was really cool. I'm gonna fix all 9 of these things it found actually in the next release of my application. But overall, just really powerful demonstration of why it's good to switch between models and use different ones to analyze things. What you're looking at here is OpenRouter, right? So OpenRouter is where we're going to create the API key. We're going to go bring into Zed to then go access Kimi K3, and you can access other models with this API key also, any of the ones that OpenRouter gives you access to. Where you're going to, so I'm already logged in, but once you're logged in, have an account with OpenRouter, you're going to want to click on API keys. From API keys, you're going to want to make a new key. And in this case, we're going to make M3 YouTube test, and I'm going to put a credit limit of $2 because you can see the key I'm about to make. So now we have a key with a $2 credit limit that we've created, and you only see it one time, right? So save this somewhere safe. It gives you a chance to save it in 1Password, but we are going to copy this key. So now that I've created the key, we've copied the key, we're going to move over to Zed. Now, to actually put this in for use, you're going to want to click up here in the upper right, and you're going to want to go into settings. Now, inside of settings, there's a whole AI menu inside of Zed, right? And so OpenRouter is just one type of key you could put in here. There's all sorts of different options: Amazon Bedrock, Anthropic, DeepSeek, the whole 9 yards. But what we just made was a OpenRouter one. So OpenRouter, we've already generated our API key. So we're going to insert that. And so I've hit enter. I don't know if you can see it. You can't tell that off screen, but I hit enter. API key was configured. And now we've added an API key to access Kimi K3. Now that we've added our API key, this is how to actually use it inside of Zed. So at least for me, I've already opened the left dock. Let me just close that. But if I were to, down here in the lower left-hand part of my screen, I can open the agent panel. I could also open that with command, and it looks like question mark. But I'm going to open the agent panel. And in this case, we're actually going to just open a new chat. And I am in that gluten or not repo. I'm already in the spot of this application I have. And in the lower right down here, so again, I've now opened a new chat. It's a new agent thread. I've added my API key. And what I can choose are, because it's configured to use OpenRouter, it's telling me all of the models I have access to via that OpenRouter API key. So, this how-to doesn't just work for Kimi K3. It works for any of these models that you could now bring into Zed. So I'm going to click Kimi K3, and we're actually going to go back to that repo I was in, because I want to grab this prompt again. And we are going to put that prompt here to message the agent. Now, before I click enter, I just wanted to call out, there's 3 different options here. You can write, right? This is the actual, we can edit code, we can go back and forth. Of course, it's still going to ask for permissions. Ask is just being able to chat about your code base, and then there's minimal. And then this is, I haven't actually used minimal, so I don't want to speak to it because I'm not an expert on it. But write is what I use because I'm going to want to ultimately potentially do the work here. And so I'm going to hit enter. And, now we have Kimi K3 up and running. I'm going to allow this first request. We have Kimi K3 up and running. We've put a prompt in, and now we are having that be ran through this new model for analysis. While this works over here and it's going to put different requests in, I did want to just scroll over to Warp. And so this is where I'm running Fable. And so I mentioned at the top of this video, we caught all of these different things. And so, yeah, that exact same prompt in inside of Warp using Claude Fable, I got to these 5 options, and I just ignore that it's saying 2 multiple times. That's some weird thing that happens with Warp on scroll sometimes. But essentially, the number one thing out of Fable 5 and Warp was this assess gluten signal. I mean, this is definitely a major bug. The Claude tells there's no wheat present is what it's saying, and this is a celiac scanning app, so I definitely got to fix this. But assess gluten signal, camera permission denied, like basically, these are the ones it caught. But then if I go over to here and I go to the top 5, this one caught, and this is the test I already ran with Kimi K3. Totally different, right? So it's catching the OCR analysis endpoint is no server deadline, and then this web client timeout shorter than realistic server time. So again, I just thought that was very interesting that 2 different models caught 2 totally different sets of things and ranked them for priority for fixing. And now I just can fix all 9 or 10 issues, and I'll have a better, more complete experience in the application that I have. Okay, so we are set up now to use a OpenRouter API key with Kimi K3 inside of Zed. I did want to point out just a few other paths to accessing Kimi K3. There is the platform.kimi.ai. I think I would call the official link. So you can get an API key from them. I don't have one yet. I use the OpenRouter path. There's also Hugging Face. So again, for both these other links I just called out, I will also drop those in the description. But if you take one thing from this video, I would just say it is definitely worth testing Kimi K3. It is different. It's definitely gives you, at least for me in the testing so far, it's been a different perspective, but super useful. I think it has utility, and I think I may actually use it on this gluten or not application as a fallback model if Claude is down. So maybe using the OpenRouter API key to say, if Anthropic's having an issue, let's fall back to do the analysis for celiac scans on Kimi K3 using the OpenRouter API key. So again, I think it's useful. I'll continue to test with it. And I hope from this video you've learned and can now figure out how to test yourself. Good luck out there.